She stood still, rigid, silent, as two TSA agents waved her aside with impatient hands. "Ma'am, you can't board with that case. Step aside." The long, black travel case, polished and locked, gleamed beneath the harsh fluorescence of Terminal C. Her gloved hands never loosened. Around her the buzz of travelers faltered, not from noise but from something colder, judgment, perhaps, or worse, indifference. Her uniform was crisp, pressed to perfection. A white belt gleamed across her chest. The patch on her shoulder marked her as part of the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, the silent sentinels of the tomb of the unknown soldier. Few recognized it, fewer still understood, and none, not one person in that airport knew what rested inside the case. Not yet. Corporal Elise Ramsey was used to silence. It lived in the echo of her boots across Arlington's marble paths, in the pre-dawn wind that curled past the eternal flame, and in the final breathless moments when a folded flag was handed to a trembling mother. Silence was sacred. It spoke where words couldn't, where they shouldn't. But here, in this terminal, it felt different. Cold, dismissive. She was returning from Montana, escorting the remains of Private Matthew Hale, 19 years old, infantryman, KIA, in a training accident. He had no family left, no one to fly him home, only a name, a folded uniform, and the weight of one final walk. That's what she carried, a soldier's final dignity wrapped in solemn ritual, every inch of her movement practiced, purposeful. The black case held Hale's burial flag, ceremonial rifle, and the white gloves he'd never wear again. "Open the case." The agent barked again. She didn't move. Her orders were clear: never relinquish. No scans, no inspections. This wasn't just protocol, it was reverence. Behind her, a mother with a crying toddler shifted restlessly. A businessman sighed and checked his watch. No one asked, no one wondered. They just saw a rigid woman in uniform refusing to cooperate. Elise had served 12 years, 2 deployments, 1 ID strike that left shrapnel whispering secrets in her back with every movement. She never spoke of it. Instead, she volunteered for the Tomb Guard platoon. Rain, snow, or sun, she walked the mat with the precision of a metronome, guarding the unknown so others could forget. But she never forgot. She remembered each name, each ceremony, each flag folded with trembling fingertips. And now, this being stopped, questioned, delayed as if what she carried wasn't sacred, but suspicious. Her silence deepened. One TSA officer leaned in. "Look, if you don't comply, you don't board. Simple." She stared ahead. Unmoving, like she had for countless hours at the tomb, this was not defiance. It was devotion. The crowd had grown larger now, shoulders craning for a better look. Phones came out. A woman whispered, "Just open it. What's the big deal?" And yet, across that sea of blank stares, one figure watched with growing recognition. Terminal Security Chief Mark Delaney, retired Marine, 22 years, felt something twist in his chest. The belt, the gloves, the badge, Old Guard. He pushed through the rope barrier, memory surging. Of friends lost, of silence held, of nights standing at attention as taps played under foreign skies. He reached her side gently. "Elise Ramsey," he said, not asking. She turned, just slightly, enough to acknowledge a brother in arms. "You're on mission," he said, her jaw clenched, barely a nod. Then his eyes dropped to the case, and he understood. The agents argued. Rules were rules, policies were clear, but Mark stood taller now, voice quiet but commanding. "She's not carrying a weapon, she's carrying a promise, and you're not going to touch it." A ripple of stillness spread. The businessman lowered his phone. The mother silenced her toddler. The crowd shifted, sensing gravity they hadn't noticed before. "She's not just a guard," Mark said, his voice now edged with something heavier. She's a tomb sentinel. That case holds a soldier's last rites. You don't inspect that. You salute it." The younger TSA agent scoffed. "We're not the military. We're airport security." Mark didn't blink. "Then learn what you're protecting." It only took seconds, but in those seconds the tide shifted. A woman from Gate B removed her hat and pressed it to her chest. An elderly man near the seating area struggled to stand, leaning on his cane, eyes damp. One by one, silence fell, and then the unexpected. An airline captain, tall and silver-haired, approached from the gate. His voice was low, reverent. "If she's escorting a fallen soldier, she boards first. Everyone else waits." There was no argument. Not this time. Elise walked down the jetway alone, black case in hand, footsteps echoing with unshakable purpose. No applause, no words, just silence, the kind that says, "We see you now." As the plane pushed back, passengers turned toward the window. On the tarmac below, 2 ground crew members stood at attention, hands raised in salute. The captain had made a call. Word spread fast. The casket followed in a separate compartment, draped in stars and stripes. A boy in seat 14A asked his mother why the lady in white gloves looked so sad. "She's not sad," the mother whispered, voice breaking. "She's honoring someone. Some stories don't end with fireworks. They end with quiet victories, like a case carried with reverence, a flight delayed for respect, a terminal that transformed from indifference to honor in a single breath." Before she left the airport that day, Elise said only one thing to Mark: "We don't speak for the fallen. We walk so their silence is never forgotten." And that silence, it echoed long after the plane disappeared into the clouds. She wasn't protecting a case. She was guarding a legacy. Some uniforms carry weapons. Others carry memory. Not all heroes speak. Some simply walk forward, and the world follows. In a world too busy to notice, she reminded them to stop, to stand, to honor.